pause. Yeah, there we go. Our lips were moving, but you couldn't hear anything. I know. I forgot to take the microphone off
And I
mute,
wasn't.
and Walter wasn't paying any attention. So you don't have to say you couldn't hear us in the first 5 seconds when this went up, but someone will. Yep, there it is. Judy wins the prize. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Our lips were moving, but you couldn't hear anything. Yeah, we've got it. Yep, there's Barb. Yeah, you guys will catch up here in a second. We're ahead of you. It's very weird. I know you guys can't see that, but there's a time delay. And we're watching it on our little iPad over here, which is how I was able to tell that you couldn't hear us. But you should be able to hear us now. So, yeah. Okay, so let's say hello to people. And let's see. Our number one fan, Russ, is here. Russ had a very good sew day today, his sewing shenanigans. Many of you were there. And if you weren't, why? I know.
I was doing other things.
Well, yeah. But of course, today is Father's Day. I just remembered that.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Forgot all about it. We don't have any fathers anymore. Ours are dead. So, yeah. One less gift.
And neither one of us are fathers that we know of.
Well, I know for certain I'm not. I don't know about your life, really. But yeah, we're not even animal daddies. We don't have animals. But anyways, yeah, so Russ had his sewing shenanigans and good turnout. Many of the regulars. You know, if you've never been to a Russ's shenanigans, you should come. It's a nice way to spend a Sunday. I know this time of the year, and I mentioned this about my pop-up sew days, that I know this time of the year, it's hard. You want to be outside in the nicer weather, although down where Russ lives in Atlanta, in Georgia, I've heard there's been an awful lot of rain there. And meanwhile, Mona's in Arizona, and it's 107 in the shade there, Fahrenheit, and here, it's just pleasant.
I wish I might actually have put the sprinkler on the lawn today.
Oh, geez. So, yeah. But anyway, so let's see who else is here. Barb is here, and Dubrovka, she says, hello, Stephen Walter friends. Got my ticket early so I can get a front row seat. There's dedication. I hear up in Timmins, though, Dubrovka, you guys are having some cold weather because on the news the other night they said you had a frost warning. So, frosty in the north. Runs with Scissors, who's Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Haven't seen you in a while, Melissa. I hope everything's okay with you. Julie's here. Hi, Julie. And Caroline, CC Farmer, is here as well. Possibly be seeing CC Farmer on Thursday because we're going to the the Canadian Quilts Show in Toronto. And I do believe Caroline and her husband are going, and another regular on sew days, on our Wednesday sew days, Elaine, she's going to be there with her husband too. So we've exchanged numbers, so we might be able to get together when we're there. Charlotte's here. Hi, Charlotte. Nina is here. Greetings, Stephen Walter. I'm loving all of my gadgets and my free giveaway. Thank you again. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Nina. Grant's here. Hi, Grant. And Jeannie's here. Suzanne is here. Barbara. Mona is here from balmy 107 degrees Fahrenheit, Arizona. Faith is here. Judy is here. Gloria is here. Alice is here. Sue is here. Sue Norfleet. Good afternoon, Stephen and Walter. Joining on the iPad from the kitchen. The bread is still in the oven. Oh, good. We'll be over. Can you keep it warm for about a week? Joanne G is here. Denise is here. Jen is here. And Andy's here. So, yeah, lots of regulars. I don't think there's anybody I don't recognize the name on as a newbie. But anyways, if you are a newbie, you're welcome to be here. Okay, so got to let everybody know that was on Russ's shenanigans. I ducked out real suddenly. There was a conversation going on, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise to say goodbye. So I didn't want to interrupt it, and Walter and I needed to go out on our daily walk before the live. So that's why we ducked out. I wasn't pissed off with anything anybody said or anything like that. Just didn't want to interrupt. So that's why we suddenly disappeared. Katie's here. Hi, Katie. And yeah, well, we went out the walk just as we got out the door. Lady comes up with a dog, a nice little dog. Well, not so little, the dog, but really friendly little dog. And she said, "Do we know who owned this dog?" I guess it was running loose. It didn't have a collar on or anything. She had a temporary leash on it, and she just lives down the street here from us. And she had taken it home before, but she's got dogs, and they weren't getting along very well with this one. This one seemed to have a nice personality, but I think it was young because it was like, right there when I went and gave it a pet, it was, looking for that. So I think this doggy was an escape artist. So anyways, Walter looked online to see if anybody was
Yeah, I couldn't
missing.
find one. There was one though walking. Somebody had filmed it walking, and it looked similar color, but don't think it was the same dog.
I don't know what kind of dog this is. It looks almost like it might have some poodle in it.
Yeah,
It was short hair, and it looks like, and the lady that had it on the leash there, she said it looks like it's just been freshly groomed because
Yeah.
it did. He
actually,
pretty.
it does look sort of like a poodle,
Yeah.
but a poodle that's been groomed. So
So I don't know. I hope doggy finds a home. We can't take it.
no, it'll be too difficult.
It would be too difficult with cat people. And we don't have a cat either. So there you go. But it's not that we don't like dogs, but dogs are a lot of work. And we go away a lot. And, can't go away when you've got a dog. You've got to make arrangements. Russ has got Riley and puppy daycare and things like that at times and everything. It's a big responsibility, dogs. Cats, they just look at you and go, "Have a nice
But
time,
even then,
bye-bye."
when we had a cat, we didn't like to go away for too long.
Well, no.
Because
We didn't like to leave baby.
she would get upset that we weren't there. So.
Yeah. But she had the run of the house. Well, she had the run of the house whether we were here or not here. It didn't really matter. But she always was very well looked after when we did go on a trip. But dog's different. Cat can go in their box. Someone can come in, clean out their box, once a day and make sure that she had a fountain and she had an automatic feeder and everything like that. And so she was okay. But dog, no. So anyways, yeah, I hope somebody claims this puppy. Poor thing. But anyways, so let's see. What have we been working on? Well, lots of things. I'll go with what I've been working on because I actually have some physical evidence of it. Walter, not so much. So let's see. I'll get this up and it'll switch the screen over. So of course, you heard on So Chatty and everything.
Oops.
Okay, why is that doing that? It's not supposed to do that. Just give me a second here, people. Technical difficulty beyond my control. I don't know why this is doing this. This should not be doing this. Okay. So this is very weird. Very weird, very weird. I have no idea. You're not supposed to be seeing that other screen in behind. You're supposed to be seeing this one.
Can you minimize that screen?
Yeah, it doesn't seem. It seems to be frozen on
And
that.
I'll try to do that again.
Nope. It doesn't want to do this. Well, that's very nice. Okay. So, not sure why my system is screwing up here, but it is. So, okay. What I was going to show you was the, now I gotta find that other screen. Oh, always something. I blame it on Russ.
Yeah, that was one said desktop 1 and desktop 2.
Where?
Well, anyway,
Where are you looking at that?
when you just slid that up.
Now it won't slide up.
Okay, see?
No, that's not making any difference. Okay. And now I've got to go back here. I don't know what this stupid thing is doing. Okay, now I can't find the bloody cursor to get this off the screen. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Would you like to jump off a cliff and kill yourself? Discuss. Okay, there we go. Well, not for you, but it's definitely not. No, no, no. I don't know why. Something's locked up on here. Anyways, I was going to show you several things, but I'll be showing them anyways on Idiot Quilter this week. I finished the Barn Star Sampler, the quilt from hell. I had some issues with Lucy. Lucy and I did not talk nicely to each other. Walter came down to be supportive and help out. Yeah, and I'm being facetious about supportive and help. He goes, well, you're an idiot. Why'd you do that? That's stupid. You shouldn't have done that. You should have done this, this, and everything. Whatever. He might have been right. I don't know. But anyways, so, and I've been working on the Quilt of Valor quilt. Actually, I can show you that sort of there, right over there. Actually, let me see here. There, you can I can show it that way to you. You should be able to see that. Those are the blocks. I'm getting there. I've got one more set of blocks to make, and then I can put the whole thing together. So that's coming along. And I've designed another Quilt of Valor, my own design, and I was showing it to everybody that was on Russ's today. I will be writing it as a pattern, and it may become available free of charge, of course, to everybody, probably during the fall retreat. I don't know. Takes a while to write these patterns and things. So, but anyways, there's that. I wonder if this is working now, but I did that. No, it is not. Okay, I don't know. Been having trouble with Stream Deck lately. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I've been working on. And there was something else, and I can't remember what it was that I was going to show. Oh yeah. Oh, I made a Christmas runner for some friends of ours that were going in to visit with them in Toronto in a few weeks' time. And so I made this for them. And I'll talk about that on Idiot Quilter as well. If you saw So Chatty this week, I gave you sort of a sneak peek at some of these things as well. Okay, so what's Walter been working on?
Well, cleaning up my room.
Why?
Because we're getting new windows installed, and I wanted to clear out a bookshelf so that, no, they're probably not going to come until about 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, but I wanted to clear out a bookshelf and clean up my room so that, well, first we're getting people in to look at the windows. And the other part was that I want to fold that bookshelf, maybe get a different one. Yeah. And it's standing too close to the window, right? So it needs to be gone when the installers come.
Yeah, well, now you can see actually the floor hasn't seen daylight in ages, and now you can actually see floor in there. Still a lot of crap in there to clean out, but whatever. But, you know, so we're getting these new windows. You know, it's been what, almost 2 years ago when we got new front doors on our house and new windows at the front of the house and new windows down here. But we have a bunch of other windows that we
we're not getting them all replaced. We're getting 10 replaced.
I thought we were getting 11.
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're right, 10. Okay, fine. Whatever. So yeah, ka-ching, ka-ching, but not so much ka-ching, ka-ching.
Actually, we were expecting to have to pay more than what the total cost came to. So, so that was a kind of a bonus.
Yeah, it was. So, and this company we're dealing with, they're a local company, and we had they're kind of family owned, and I don't know if she's a daughter, sister, what she is, Sophia. But she came in to do the initial measurements of the windows, and you know, and she wrote us up the quote and everything and whatnot. And then when we accepted the quote and sent them off a 40% deposit for it, they sent in the heavy guns, and he's Russian.
The installer came to give the actual measurement of the windows. And I think he actually orders the windows too. So.
Yeah. and he does a double check. But he's Russian. He is no nonsense. You will have to move that. That will have to be moved. And so we can do this. We have vodka. We all celebrate. Then we put in windows. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're a family from Russia, from Kazakhstan.
Mm.
And
but they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
They do a very good
job. And
an extra little touch. So as the guy was leaving, he looked at our front door, and they had installed those originally. And in along where the old doorbell.
After they installed the door, I didn't realize at the time. We used to have a wired-in doorbell, and they left the wires from the doorbell sticking out of the caulking.
So we could put it back on if we wanted to. So we could put it
back on. And in the meantime, we've gone to a battery block.
We went to a Ring.
Yeah, a battery-operated doorbell. So I don't need the wires anymore. So I kind of cut them off, and they were sort of still sticking. I didn't cut them completely off, and they're sort of still sticking out of the caulking. So, and it's black caulking. So
and you know what they say about black caulking.
So they put. So I put some black electrical tape on it. So that it just hit it a bit, right? And he noticed it, and he says, "Oh, I'll come back and fix that one."
When we're here, we'll fix that. We put new caulking on there. Okay. I mean, good service there, but we're very happy with the price they came at, because windows are not cheap, and of course, these windows that we are getting are not. They're not your cheap windows either. Like, they're good quality and the whole bit. So So I was very pleased when they came in with a price under $10,000, because I figured the price was going to be closer to possibly $20,000 or $25,000. Things are not cheap these days. But yeah, we did get, because we're a repeat customer, we did get what, 35% off?
They gave us 35% off, and they gave us an extra 5 for being a returning customer. So they got 40% off.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't care how they work that out. We got it, so that'll work. But anyways, yeah. So now, when will we get them? Well, it says on the contract they have to order them, of course. So 4 to 8 weeks. He said about 6.
4 to 6.
But that's okay. We're not in any rush, as long as they're in before winter, the cold weather, and they will be. They will be. It doesn't take them long to put them in, and they're also very, very neat. They clean up really well afterwards. So
it's a father and son team that come in to put them in.
So we're very happy with all of that. Susan's here, and Dubrovka says had frost 2 nights. Beautiful today, 25 in Timmins. And Mary is here from Kansas. Summer's finally here, and Johanna is here. That's Designing J. Katie's saying, how's everyone's weekend gone? Hope everything is a good one thus far. And Susan says, well, it's going to be beautiful when it's done.
It'll be nice, because the windows have never been changed in this house. And
I don't think she's talking about the windows. I think she was talking about the quilt blocks.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to stay up. Yeah. Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. And Barb says that you will never go back to what? Caulking. Oh, yeah. Once you've had, white. You'll never go back to it. Oh, okay. That
once you've had black,
you'll never go back to white caulking. Yeah. See, oops, not so chatty. Sorry. Pain meds. Ooh, Cindy's high. And Dubrovka says hello from her husband, Al.
Hello, Al.
Hi, Al. So anyways, that's what's going on, and why Walter had to clean up his room and everything like that.
So I did some cleaning up of the deck.
Oh yeah, he's been working on the deck.
I've been doing today. I decided to clean a window in the garage that had those fake squares of your tape.
They're basically paper. They put on to make it look like there's a grid. And it was all peeling off. Well, it's been there 30 years.
Yeah, so I wanted to get that taken off, and it was not easy. It was stuck.
Well, it's probably baked on, because that window gets a lot of the morning sun. Yeah. It gets warm out there. So, yeah, we got rid of that. In fact, the reason being is I hadn't even thought about it, but yesterday when we were out on a walk and we were walking in a little different area from where we usually go, and we're looking at the houses, and I says, "Oh look," and these are newer houses than ours, and I says, "Oh look, they've all got that stuff on their window. They haven't taken that off. They couldn't have been living there long." But Walter said that they don't put paper anymore. It's up.
Well, no, it depends
tape.
on how cheap of a window they put in.
Yeah, well,
But our windows were cheaper, so these had ones that were actually bars that
Yeah.
go in, but they have to take those off to wash
to
your
clean your
windows,
windows, yeah. But anyway, so I said, "Yeah, glad we don't have any more." And he says, "Well, we still have the one on that garage window." I went, "Oh yeah, hadn't thought about it because it's sort of a frosted glass."
It's a frosted single pane glass. The garage isn't insulated, so
Yeah.
it's frosted, and I just thought it looks kind of crappy. It's half coming off, so
Yeah, so we got rid of that. Anyways,
actually, driving up, I saw it now. It looks a lot better.
I didn't even notice it when we
Yeah.
went out. I didn't even look at it, pay any
Yeah,
attention
well,
to
you've
it.
had it there for so long,
I mean, I
kinda
just
ignore it.
I said what would look nice there is maybe a stained glass window, but Walter just not doing stained glass these days anymore. Of course, then you'd have to insert it, and that might be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad, I don't think.
Oh, well,
I'd have to look at that.
yeah, it's not going to happen. Uh, because
I wonder how big that is compared to that one that's hanging in the other window in the other room. I could put that one in there.
what one was hanging in the other room?
In your Lucy room.
Do I have a stained glass window in there? I guess I should take a look around the house. There's things here I forgot we had. Okay, dementia, not your friend. Let's see if we had a few more people join us. Bonnie's here from Sudbury, and Arta is here from sunny San Diego. So welcome. So yeah, so announcements and things coming up. Sewing with Stephen Wednesdays. Now I did make a mention on So's Chatty on Friday that I sometimes wonder why I'm bothering, and maybe I shouldn't even bother with those. And I had several of you send me messages saying, no, we like the sew days. Had a few of you say, I would love to come to one at some point in time, but either the time, well, one person is in Australia. Yeah, the time period is not going to work very well. I can't do anything about the zones and that. But no, I'm not getting rid of it because, it gives me at least one day out of the week where I can dedicate it to doing some sewing. And it's great for your mojo to sew with other people.
Yeah, and it gives me one day that Steve's not bugging me all day.
Ladies, do you have a husband like him? All they do is bitch. We work our fingers to the bone to keep a nice house, cook them nice meals, make sure everything is fine for them, and this is the treatment we get, right? Yeah. No wonder more women shoot their husband between the eyes. You're lucky I don't have a gun. I think there's a baseball bat around here somewhere. No, I don't think there is a baseball bat.
Actually,
we
we
don't have a baseball bat. No, we have some golf clubs.
Do we? I thought we got rid of those.
Oh, did we get rid of
Yeah, I
those?
think
Oh,
so.
we did. Yeah, they were an antique. Anyways, so yeah, so no, I'm not canceling sewing on Wednesdays, sewing with Steven. And pop-up sew day this Saturday coming. Yay! Now, okay. My eyes are up here. Use your ears. Close your mouth. Pay attention. A lot of people don't know the difference between the month of June and the month of July. I know they both start with J and a U, but they do sound different. I know a lot of you have trouble, I might be a little dyslexic, with the number 12 and the number 21. You like to reverse them. Let us clarify this. Pop-up sew day. This Saturday coming. June 21st. That's a 2 and a 1, and that's June, Jun. We have another pop-up sewing day, and this may have been my mistake. I shouldn't have talked about two dates in the same sentence together. Stephen's birthday bash pop-up sew day, July, repete, July, okay? 12th, 1, 2, okay? There'll be links for that. The reason I'm saying this is because I got One person was quite irate with me. I did not get the email about the pop-up sew day. That's because I haven't sent it out yet. I'm sending it out tomorrow on Monday. Okay, and then it'll be in all the show notes for next week's videos. And in fact, next Saturday's pop-up sew day Zoom link will be in the show notes today in this one as well. Tomorrow, for those of you on the mailing list, I will send it out again. Then I had other people going, "Are you online?" Yesterday. No, I am not online. No, I think they thought they had missed the pop-up sew day. No, it's there. I can't make it any clearer. Now, one other problem. I feel like I'm teaching school again. When you go to the show notes, you are going to see 2 Zoom links. The very first one, oops, balloons, party. The very first one says, if you read it carefully, right in the first line, it says pop-up sew day. Then it gives the date. The next Zoom link below that says sewing with Stephen in the topic. If you click on the sewing with Stephen next Saturday, you won't get in because it's not the day for it. You have to do the right one. Maybe I shouldn't have the 2 of them so close together physically on the page. I don't know. Maybe I should put them in another color, but I can't do that on YouTube. It doesn't let me. I tried with it. I don't know how to make it any clearer. The secret is, I think, is to read. Read carefully. Don't just click on the very first thing. Okay? So I hope that clears up any misunderstanding there with you. Okay? All right. Some more people have joined us. Pace is here. Hi, Pace. So, yeah. I hope that clears it all up so you don't get screwed up. I wouldn't want you to try and get on it and try to hit the wrong link, come in, and you're not getting on. And you think, for some reason, I hate your guts and I'm not letting you in. All right, you know? No, that's not the problem. The problem's you. It's not me. Okay? So, yeah, that's coming up. All right. On So Chatty this past week, we answered questions that people have been asking and responding to some comments as well. We kind of went off on a real large tangent. When I say we, I mean Walter, about long arms. We didn't really intend, at least I didn't intend, I intended to answer the question, not give the whole history of buying a long arm, where you should go, whatnot. But I had a few people did say they found it very useful information. So there you go. You were saved again. Of course, it came from you. So they just, you know, oh, Walter, he's so dreamy. We believe everything he says. It comes out of his mouth. Ironically, he's only used Lucy once. Okay, enough said about that. Oh, yeah, and the other thing about the birthday bash, which doesn't happen for another month, July 12th, there's prizes. I don't know what they will be yet. I haven't decided how I'll go about this, but there will be prizes. I always have prizes on my birthday pop-up. Already talked about Russ's shenanigans. Rhonda's sale. Okay. I posted the Idiot Quilter this past week. I had some technical difficulties. And in the process of fixing those technical difficulties, I only posted the tail end of the video I made of Rhonda's sale. And nobody made a comment about it. What's with you people? Usually you'll comment on some little minor thing. And this was, I consider, more major about it. But thank goodness, I think it was Faith who on Sew Day on Wednesday said about, you know, she said, did I miss something? And I said, yeah, I missed something. So I went back in and I put it in. Now that meant that I had to delete the original version of the video, post a new one. So you may have got a notice if you've got the bell turned on and if it works, that there was another Idiot Quilter there, but you probably looked at it if you'd already seen it and went, well, why is he posting it again? What's this? I already saw it. I did put in the description, which a lot of people don't look at. I said, I made a boo-boo. Missing Rhonda. It's now in here. There you go. If you want to see it, you can fast forward to that section for it. So sorry about that, but you know, when you're using technology, sometimes these things happen. Talked about the new windows. We have a friend coming for dinner tomorrow night. It's basically it's for his birthday, but his birthday was in May, and we were away in May, and kind of felt sorry for him because he's a single guy, lives on his own, has a sister, and she ignored his birthday completely. And it's not like they live far away from each other. They live in the same cities. They live here in the same city as us in the whole bit. But anyway, so we'll have him over for dinner and that. I've made him a couple of things and whatnot. So yeah, that's tomorrow night. We haven't had anybody over for dinner in a long time. We're keeping it pretty basic. We're just doing steak. Okay. Cindy says, sorry for the email, but apparently my hearing is faulty. I'll wait on the email. Okay, Cindy. You know, though, stuff is posted. Do you know? Okay, here's a serious question. I'm getting the feeling that some people on YouTube don't realize that where the show notes are. And this goes for anybody's video that puts it up. If you look at the little description box where you only get part of a description underneath the video, right directly below it, you'll see the word, you'll see ... and the word more. If you click on more, it expands it, and that's show notes. And that's where I post links for things I talk about in there. I post the Zoom links and all that kind of stuff. It's all in there. So yeah, you just need to click on the word more and that'll pull down. And I got the distinct feeling that some people don't realize that's a feature of YouTube. So yeah, now you know. Okay. Anything else exciting? You have 2 appointments tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. I would get my eyes checked.
I've been saying that for years. I think they should check your hearing too, but
I've got to do the field test, which I absolutely hate.
the field test.
Yeah, for
field
test. And then I have to get a picture taken of the back of my eyeball.
I can do that. I have a camera. I have a phone just playing around. Back of an eyeball. So, but
there's a name for it. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, yeah, and I got 2 appointments in 2 different places. I have one I have to drive all the way to one medical center, and then I have at one, and then at 2 I have to go to a different medical center.
Yeah, actually, that thing taking the back of your eyeball, is that the thing that they have on as an ad? Then everybody's trying to use the word ophthalmology or something.
I can't remember
because they take a picture of my eyeball. I have to pay like $50 for it every time I go in for it, and to show, you know, and you can see all the blood vessels and all that. Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
No. Do they charge you?
No, because I have
you're special
condition.
Oh, you have a condition. What's your condition?
Well, I know there's something at the back of my eye that said it could be a problem, it might not be a problem. So
that's your brain?
No.
Yeah,
I've had that said to me a long time ago, but now I ended up going to a specialist, and now the specialist is seeing if it's actually a problem or not. He said some people have it and it's just normal, and other people have it and it's a problem. So,
well, they do it for me because there's a history of glaucoma. My mother had glaucoma, and so they check my eyeball all the time with this thing, and they shows it to me and it says, "Oh, you know, your eye's healthy. You're okay. Not to worry about it a whole bit." Oh, okay, fine. See you next time for another $50.
Yeah, Sue, I hate those field visions.
Charlotte says the back of your eyeball looks like an egg yolk.
Yeah, that's been inseminated.
Yeah, because there's little blood vessels in there and the whole bit. You know, I never really thought about that until you just brought it up. Now I have an image in my head that I'll never get out of it. Every time I see this, thank you for that, Charlotte. Sue says, I practically get a panic attack with the field of vision test. Well, is the field of vision test the one where they puff the air?
No.
Oh, that's
where you look into a little box and they flash little dots of light, all over the place, and every time you see a dot of light, you gotta hit a thing. And what it does
Oh,
is it sees if you, it's a glaucoma test. So if you sees if you don't see the dots all the way around, then you have a problem with your field of vision.
they don't do that on me.
Well, I don't know why, because they've done it on me every time. Probably because what happens is they check your pressure of your eye. And
Yeah.
if your pressure of your eye is high, then they'll give you the field of vision test. So you probably don't have that.
No, he told me. He's got a picture of my eyeball. He says my eyeball's fine. So there you go. Except for the big floater. Because I have one eye, I have a really big floater. And it doesn't really bug me unless I think about it and then I see it go by. Like right now. Now I'm conscious of it. Because I've always had floaters, right? I have a lot of floaters. In fact, they say that all the time. Oh, you have a lot of floaters. Yes, I'm quite aware of that. I've had them a long time. Well, you've got a really big floater. Yes, I do. And it's in the notes because I guess when I had my cataracts done, the eye surgeon or whatever, he loosened or knocked out or something one of these floaters, and that's why there. But then I got told that's not a bad thing because as long as it's not like interrupting your vision majorly, it's a good thing because it helps with the possibility of a detached retina. And apparently because I have blue eyes, people with blue eyes have a higher percentage chance of having the retinas detach. And because this floater has been knocked loose, it removes pressure or something that could cause this. This is what they told me. Now I have heard that there's a kind of thing you can have done, but they stick a needle in your eye for floaters, and I go, no, 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 no. I'm not going to have that. I mean, mind you, I had cataract surgery, and I thought that was going to be laser, and no, they use a knife, they get right in there, but they kind of freeze your eye, and apparently your eye doesn't have any nerve endings, so there really isn't any pain.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm surprised they don't give him one because his mother had glaucoma.
Yeah, well, they do the other thing. They check for the glaucoma using this picture.
Yeah, they check the. Yeah, no, they check the.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
They check your eye pressure, but then the field of vision test is the actually a glaucoma test,
No,
which
okay.
I'm surprised they don't give to you. So
Well, because they know.
you'll know if you had the field of vision test. You'll hate it.
I mean, there's that test where you look down and you see the little farmhouse.
Yeah, but that's not it.
Okay.
Here you go to and they stick your head in a white box. You put your chin on something and you're looking at a white box inside, right? And then you see these little tiny pinpoints of light all over the place. And every time you see a pinpoint of light, you got to hit a button. And it goes on for days,
Space Invaders.
basically.
Okay, well, never had that. I don't know. Maybe it's because I had cataract surgery. I don't know.
Possibly, I don't know.
I mean, after cataract surgery, a month or so or 2 months later, I was getting what they call secondary cataracts, which is really normal. But you go in, and you like just like you're having your eyes examined. You know, you got your chin on the thing and whatnot, and he's sitting there playing Space Invaders with a laser in your eye, like he's shooting them there. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, you feel nothing. You see nothing. Well, you see a little bright red light sort of a thing for a second, but yeah. So I don't know.
You know, this is like Star Wars coming at me.
Yeah, exactly. The little puff of air, though, it doesn't hurt or anything. It's just you sit there and you know you're going to get the little puff of air, and you're waiting for it, and you're not supposed to blink. And what do? They usually have to do it a couple of times with me because just as the puff of air, I blink, bounces off my eyelid. I guess I don't know, whatever. So, yeah, fun times with all of that. So, speaking of fun times, today we're probably going to get a little political, but not trying to be too political. But I think it's going to be depressing what we're going to talk about a little bit, because I'm finding it very depressing lately. And if you're anybody who follows the news, the world's a mess. The world is like, we're going to
It
hell.
always was a mess.
Yeah, it
but
always was.
Seems to be getting worse. So,
well, we'll talk about why that may be in a minute. But first of all, let's talk about World Pride in DC. All right. we talked about Pride, this being Pride Month and everything before, and it's ironic that World Pride was in DC this year, given that Trump has declared that he's not going to declare June Pride Month. Every other president has done that since they started doing that. He wasn't, but he's declared it something else, and it's something with the number 9 in it, and I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's something. But no, and he also, of course, it's all part of his removing DEI. If, businesses don't have to follow all of that kind of stuff anymore and everything. So here's World Pride. What's World Pride? Well, World Pride is what it says. LGBTQ community people come from all around the world. Big parade. Lots of activity around it. And there's a different city every year for it. We went to World Pride quite a few years ago now.
2017.
Was that when we went? In Toronto. It's a big event. A big thing. And, well, there weren't a heck of a lot of people at it this year because people are staying away from the United States because of travel bans and, everything else on that. So that's kind of sad. Of course, on my vlog this past week, I talked about, going back into the closet because at least in the United States, that's the general discussion amongst in the gay community and the LGBT community, how much this administration is putting gay rights and all that backwards. He's doing the same thing with women and other institutions as well, which is not looking very hopeful because you would think, like, he's only a hop, skip, and a jump from declaring slavery's legal. And I'm not making a joke of that. He is. So you've got all of that. That's not good. That's not making people happy. And how do we know people aren't happy? Well, they're moving out of the red states. I was listening to a podcast that said statistics are saying more and more people are actually relocating within the United States out of red states. And there was someone I was talking with on here, a subscriber, who said that they're moving, actually they were on the SODE, that they're moving out of Texas very soon and to Portland, Maine, which is a blue state, because they just can't take it anymore with the red states. So that's kind of sad. And there's been things in the newspapers up here about Americans looking into and investigating immigrating to Canada. Yeah, no, our doors are kind of closed to immigration. They've done some tightening up on immigration right now. But yeah, does he pay any attention to that? Apparently not. But does he pay attention to anything at all? No. So then you've got the LA riots happening. Well, are they riots or are they protests? Now, there was some problems. There was some looting kind of thing. But, when you get yahoos, there's always yahoos in every group
that take advantage of the situation.
But for the most part, it did not constitute, from what we're hearing on the news and Jimmy Kimmel, that it really wasn't serious enough to constitute bringing in the military for it. And the governor of California, he is really pissed off at this as well. Of course, he's a Democrat, right? So, and other states have had protests too, and that's all about the immigration thing and, rounding up illegal immigrants and that and sending them, deporting them and imprisoning them and whatnot like that. Yeah. And they're sometimes not getting the right people when they're doing that. So that's kind of what we should call it, an abuse of power right there too. So that's not a good thing.
Andy said that she read that Canada's recruiting U.S. doctors.
Yes, in BC.
Yeah.
Yep. They have an advertisement, a six-week advertisement on TV, looking for saying that American doctors, nurses, are welcome. They can have jobs. We need doctors in this country. So Yeah. And I think I don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, we need doctors. On the other hand, is this a good thing? Like recruiting them from the United
I
States?
don't know. For years they've been recruiting from us.
Well, that's true, but they pay better. But they're private clinics. And like, would a doctor survive under a public healthcare system? Because
Well, I don't know. I'm the
it's a little different in working
my
environment.
my anal doctor.
Your anal doctor.
My
Your
proctologist.
anal doctor.
Yeah, you know the one that gives me the
Finger up the butt?
no,
No.
the one that gives me the
Sounds like let's play charades. Looks like let's see. What?
colonoscopies.
Oh, okay.
The one that gave you a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Her name.
Oh,
Julie,
Dr. Jones, wasn't it?
Dr. Jones.
Dr.
Yeah.
Jones.
She came from the States.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I would talk to her for a few minutes, and she said, yeah. She said
It's a shitty job, but somebody has to do it.
I guess she decided to move to Canada. So
Oh, okay. Well, we need the doctors and the nurses. We definitely do. But they're the only province that's advertising that. In our province, we definitely have a shortage of doctors too and nurses, but we're not getting, well, we've got a,
well, I guess in the U.S. there's a lot of problems with malpractice suits and stuff like that. So
Oh,
if
yeah?
the doctor makes a mistake,
hmm,
then you can more easily sue them than you can in Canada.
yeah. Andy says, I think U.S. doctors could survive if for no other reason they wouldn't have to fight with through our insurance crap. Yeah, that's what you're saying. So yeah. So
Well, they get their hands tied a bit here too, because our insurance, they don't yeah, I suppose in your country they submit claims to the insurance, whereas here they get told what they're getting
yeah,
paid.
there's a ceiling on what they can do. So it would be, I would think it might be a bit of a pay cut for doctors from the States to come up here. Although in Ontario, our premier is trying to have a two-tiered healthcare system. He's trying to privatize certain things. So you can still get certain treatments through the public system, but if you want them faster or whatever, you need to pay for that. And yeah, that's not how we work. That's dismantling our universal health care. And most of us are not happy with that. And he keeps saying he's put all this money into our healthcare system, but yeah, we haven't seen the results of that yet. So BC, well,
You know, BC has a two-tiered.
yeah, I know
healthcare,
they've
so
got it too. So I don't
we'll
know.
see.
We'll
I
see
don't
how
know.
that works out. But anyways, yeah. Um, okay, so we've got Trump's birthday parade. That seems to be a, well, the comedians, the late night comedians are just going to town on that one. But I was looking at some different news feeds earlier today, early this morning, and apparently, and this is no surprise, the turnout wasn't quite as good as he was anticipating. It was kind of sad. One commentator said, those soldiers that are marching this look like they'd rather be anywhere else but here, kind of a deal. And apparently, the first number I heard as far as cost was 25 million, but now I'm hearing them talking as much as $50 million for this parade. And apparently, I don't know how true it is, because you know with the news today, it depends on who you're watching, and it's hard to get the truth out of it all. But they were claiming that that money was coming out of the fund, the veterans fund, you know, money that's supposed to go to healthcare and services for vets. So that would seem ironic. Let's have a military parade and show off our military, and then take away all their money to the ones that have, you know, seen active service and, you know, need this kind of thing. Don't know how true that is, because how do we know what's true anymore? But then of course they've got all the ones not no king movement, where they're all protesting that Trump's acting like he's king, supreme ruler, doesn't have to answer to Congress and stuff like that. And there was something like 2 2,000 different protests going on Saturday, all across the United States. You know, I like seeing the protests. I do, because it means that Americans are fighting back, and that's good. You're not taking this laying down. I mean, he's not paying any attention to it because his ego will not allow him to with that. But you got to keep pounding him, because somebody's going to hear and see, and the people in Congress and everything, really, they're the ones that have the power, if they so use it in the right way, to, rein him in before, well, who knows what. So there's that. Then, so that's the United States, and same old, I guess. Isn't that kind of sad that now when we hear about what's going on in the States, we just look at it and go, yeah, nothing surprises us. But then we do have some surprises, or sort of surprises for probably most people, with Israel attacking Iran. What's with Israel these days? First of all, in my opinion, they're committing genocide, wiping out all of the Palestinians on the Gaza Strip. Yes, I know that they were attacked by terrorists, by a terrorist movement. They took hostages and the whole bit. But they're really, they're not letting humanitarian aid come in to help the average people. It wasn't the average people doing this. They're just going on about their own lives and the whole bit. And he's wiping them out. Now he's gone off to Iran under the guise that they're enriching uranium for bombs. And they're not going to allow this. Well, okay. We know about the history of Iran. Yeah, and it's not positive with this. But tyrants. These are tyrants. We've got Trump in the States. Now we've got what's his face in Israel. I can't say his name. Netanyahu over there. And then, of course, in the background, we have Putin. Slip a Ritz under him, so we Putin on the Ritz. And the same old with the Ukraine. And again, that's been going on for so long now. I don't know if people are even paying any attention to it. But it's there. These dictators. And then, we have a lot of other dictators, North Korea, to a certain extent, China. What's with these people in power? I guess that's the problem. They have too much power. So it's very, very disheartening, to say the least, with all of this. So meanwhile, in Canada, Alberta. Oh my God. What's with the Albertans? Now I know it's not all Albertans. In fact, it's a very small number of Albertans, but they've got big mouths and they're loud. Want to separate. Okay, let's talk stupid. What would that look like? Let's say tomorrow the Albertans had a referendum and said, yep, we want to separate from Confederation, from the rest of Canada. Well, guess what? First of all, CPP doesn't exist for you anymore, or OAS. So there you go. All the people who are retired and depend on that as their income, that's gone. Universal health care, that's gone. All of the trade that's comes from the federal government, you'll be making your own contracts and deals with that. That's gone. They think BC will join them because BC's on the other side. Probably not. That's kind of naive. Yeah.
And where are your pipelines going to
Yeah,
go?
where are your pipelines going to go and stuff like that. Yeah. No, their premier, the only woman premier in Canada, she's really not giving women in power a good reputation right now. She tried to kiss up back a few months ago to Trump, and all he did was grab her by the pussy. And she seemed to like that. So whatever, she's a piece of shit. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, I did, and I meant to. She hasn't got a clue what she's doing. She thinks she can hold the rest of Canada at ransom to get what she thinks she wants for her province by threatening separation? No, she seemed to have forgotten, which most Westerners do seem to forget. We've been fighting separatism from the Quebecois for many, many, many decades. It raises its ugly head every now
Daniel
and then.
Smith.
Yeah, Daniel Smith. It raises its ugly head every so many years. Quebec threatens to separate, and they even have a referendum, and it gets voted down. Yeah, and then they're quiet for a while, and then it rises its ugly head. So, yeah, and they're in the same boat. Yeah, go ahead, separate, see what's going to happen. They think France might be on their side. They don't care.
With Quebec, then they'd have to actually make all their signs in English because they can't compete.
Yeah, look at Quebec trying to deal with trade partners like the U.S. or something like that. I'm sure the U.S. is going to switch right over to French. No, not going to happen with that. So
It'd be cheaper for the rest of Canada. Put everything in English.
Yeah, well, that's true. And they're so special in Quebec, anyways. They think. So yeah, Daniel Smith. No, sweetie, it didn't work for the Quebecois. It's not going to work for the Albertans.
Well, I'm pretty sure that most of the Albertans are not that.
No, they don't.
In separating.
No, but this is what we've got going on in Canada, and we really need this right now. Along with what's next? Oh, well, we're burning down the country, forest fires, again. I guess it used to be we only used to have 2 seasons in this country. Winter and construction. Now we have winter construction and forest fires.
And smoke.
Yep. And of course, the Americans are getting all the smoke because it's, drifting down there. So this is fun. And apparently some of these forest fires were not by natural causes. There were idiots who went out and in some cases purposely set fires. They're the same people that want to separate. They have to be. What do they think? They can burn a hole in the earth on the border for Alberta and it'll just move the rest of Canada apart? Like, yeah. Stupid people. I see stupid people everywhere. And Marjan says, Alberta is Canada. Come on down to see. Don't know what that means, Marjan. Haven't got a clue what you're saying there. Sandra says, hi, fellas. Sending greetings from Illinois. Sandy. Hi, Sandy. And Andy says, one problem with today's politicians is that they come up with ideas without thinking through the long-term implications and consequences. Yeah. Politicians are not the brightest people in the world. See, the smart people don't run for political positions because they go, no, not getting into that. And as I've said before, people who run for politics, and I don't care what level of politics, they'll tell you a good line that they're in for the people, but 9 times out of 10, they are not. They're in it for themselves. It's a cozy job if you can get it, and it pays well. So yeah. Mary says, we have Canadian smoke down here in Kansas. Yeah. You probably are getting more smoke down in the States than we are here.
We had a few days.
Days.
It's not bad now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I feel sorry for you, but what can we do?
Sad imaginary line.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe put up a wall. I don't know. With it. So, yeah, we're dealing with forest fires. Now, some good things. Our prime minister and his cabinet and that, they're trying to make some new deals with other business partners, like in Europe. We should have been doing that, though, a long time ago. But it was too easy to have partnerships with the Americans because they're right there on the doorstep, right? So it was kind of logical to do that. Well, now it's not so logical anymore. So now this could open up a lot of doors for our country. To match us up with some of the European companies. That could make things really, we could get SMEGs here.
We have SMEGs here.
I know, but maybe we get a better price. No. Whatever. If you don't know what SMEG is, it's an appliance company that used to be considered like run of the mill, but they've become very designer now. And they've got sort of a retro look.
Because when we first went to Australia in 2016, they had we stayed in these places that were had kitchens and stuff, and they
Yeah.
had really cheap Smeg appliances in there.
Yeah.
And we came back, and suddenly they have these designer Smeg ones, like designer toasters that cost normal egg and stuff like that, and they have Smeg on them, and these retro refrigerators that have Smeg on them, and now they're considered a luxurious item.
And the price went way up on them as well.
Well, that's true with a lot of like
$400 for a toaster. Yeah. And it's just a toaster. It's not like one of those fancy toasters that, has all these settings and
it
you
just
can run
looks
from
like
your
it's retro from
Yeah.
the 1950s or something.
Yeah, retro's in, apparently. So yeah, so maybe we get some deals on Smeg, but we can get some, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to start aligning more with the Europeans with it. But we'll see how that all works out as time goes by. And then on the disease front, talking about doctors and nurses and things like that. So here in Ontario, we have had some newborns with measles. Like they contracted measles when they were still in the womb, kind of a deal. And in every case, the mothers have not been were not vaccinated. Well, that's great. Measles in a newborn, two-headed baby, no big deal. Whatever on this kind of thing. And that's just stupid not being vaccinated. And, during COVID, we've had this
And it's
discussion.
not like they have to pay for it here. So.
No. So, oh, well, my baby's going to be mentally affected or have autism if I get a vaccination. Well, the jury's still out about that.
If your baby's born with measles, it can have lots of problems.
Yeah, lots of problems with that. Yeah.
If it still lives. So.
Yeah, if it still lives, even on top of it.
Because we had one baby that passed away.
Yep. So, I mean, that's just sad, because there's something that could be prevented, you see. So, who are these idiots? Who are these idiots? So, how do we cope with all these problems in the world? I don't know about you, but every day when I see the news, it's never good. Well, of course, has the news ever been really good news? There's nothing. And it gets to you after a while, right? So how do we cope with all this stuff? I've been asking myself.
So Barnstar Quilt.
Yeah, so a Barnstar Quilt. Yeah, sure hell. Well, I think, though, we have to look for the positivity in our lives. And that's, something that you might hear from one of those life coaches. Look for the positive. Yeah, airy-fairy stuff. But in a way, I find if you think about what you've done in the day and focus on the good things, it does help a little bit. It helps to have a hobby. It helps to have, things in your life to look forward to, like birthdays, pop-up sew days, things like that, avoid the media. It is so hard to figure out who is a reliable source of information and who's not. If you go on YouTube, and I think that's where a lot of us are getting our news, and YouTube has one section that's dedicated to news, and you get all this clickbait. Lately you get all the ones that are negative Trump, and rightly so, but they all spin it. They exaggerate it even more, but you don't know. And also they're playing on the fact that for those of us that are anti-Trumpers, we want to hear the bad stuff. We want to hear that he's in despair. I mean, I saw a headline today. Trump is in despair over his parade. Lack of support for his parade and stuff like this. Yeah, is he? I don't think he is. He hasn't got a clue about this kind of stuff. So, no, but, how do you know what is reliable? I focus on CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and I focus on the National, which is our national news system, for reliability. But even they spin things because they want the ratings, right? But some of these other ones out there, like Fox, and like you can't believe anything comes off of Fox. It's totally it's like a tabloid on TV, a tabloid newspaper kind of a thing. So probably the best thing to do is to turn off the news because, what you don't know won't hurt you. And it alleviates some of the worry. Like when we were over in Europe, when we were in the Netherlands, we weren't watching North American news. In fact, we weren't watching any news because it was in Dutch. And I don't know what they were talking about. But so,
I was listening to it.
yeah, you were listening to it. But, and I didn't miss the news. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. So that might be a way.
Barb says, next new thing in Alberta, thanks to Danielle Smith, is you'll have to pay out of pocket for COVID vaccinations.
$110. Yep. There you go. Why the hell did anybody vote for her? She's just a crass little piece of shit. Really. And I would say that to her face. So I guess another thing is governments come and go. It doesn't seem like it right now. But if you look at history, they do come and they go. They usually come in with a bang and they go out with a whimper. And it's only been 6 months since the Orange Pumpkin got into power. So, and we're still standing. We aren't.
Well, we lasted the first time, right?
Yeah, we lasted the first time with him. And we're not the 51st state, and we're not going to be. So as far as Canadians are concerned, yeah, Trump's your problem, Americans. Sorry about
Somebody's asking what CTV is.
Oh, CTV is just the Canadian television is what it stands for. It's just one of our major network. And CBC is our national network.
Yeah, actually, CBC is government-owned network, and CTV is a private.
It's a private
network owned by our major telephone company.
Yeah, Bell, our provider. We also have Global News, which is a major network. Global. We have
City TV.
City TV, which is more Toronto-based.
But actually, they have a City TV in pretty much
in each one of the major cities of Canada. What else do we have? Global. That's about it. Those are the three biggies.
CHCH still says.
I don't know if CHCH still exists. I don't think it does, or I think they may have gone under that one called Omni.
I think, yeah, or something.
Something like that. Whatever. So, yeah. I think there's something called Atlantic Television.
Yeah.
ATV. Or something like that as well. But our major one is CBC. So, yeah.
Or CTV.
Or CTV, yeah. So anyways, governments come and go. Look at history. There's always been tyrants and dictators, and they usually get overthrown. Eventually, it may take some time, but focus more on the positive of overthrowing them. Now, one thing that really gets my goat is, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but all the latest movies on TV, on any of the streaming networks and things like that, either on apocalyptic themes or military. People blowing up people, wars and things like that. And that's historically accurate. For example, during the Great Depression, when movies were becoming very popular at the time, they focused on musicals and feel-good types of films. People wanted to go, it attracted people to go to the movies for escapism. Now people are worried about the, disasters, wars, everything like that. Natural disasters with climate warming and all of that kind of stuff. And that's what a lot of these television or these movies that are coming out are focusing on. And they play into our psychic as well with it. So how do you avoid that? Don't watch them. But they're the best ones because there's action.
Horror film.
There's horror film. There's blood. There's guts. There's gore. We all love blood, guts, and gores and action. Yeah. We're sick people. We're really sick puppies when you think about it. That's why we don't have aliens come and visit us. They look at this and go, oh no, we better give them another 100,000 years or so. They're still not long out of the trees, really. not high on the evolutionary scale. We can protest, and people are starting to do that in the States. Peaceful protest, not looting and violence and that kind of thing. But we have that. But if you don't like to carry a sign, you don't like to go out and protest, you can call your representatives. You can write emails to your representatives and write a lot of them. Because, the more a lot of it works in volume with them. Yeah, as one individual writing to your representative, you're not going to get any action from that. That's just going to get circularly filed. But if 100, 200, 1,000 write to them, send them emails about it. And there's organizations out there that create a blank form that you just sign electronically and it gets shipped off. It's already, the wording's done for you and the whole bit. And when I see those, and if I feel that what's there is justified, I sign them. I contribute to that as well. If anything, it makes you feel like you're doing something, because it's too easy to say, well, nothing I do is going to make any difference, so the hell with it. Well, that's a defeatist attitude. And I can understand why people have defeatist attitudes, because, it's easy to fall into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, as Sue says, if nothing blows up in a movie, he's not a happy camper.
Who's that? Her husband?
Probably her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, or these days they either throw up or their head explodes.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend in shows. Have you noticed this? They're either throwing up or their heads actually explode. Like, what were we watching the other night? Heads were exploding everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like exploding heads, but...
Oh, yeah, the G7s in Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
Been orderly.
Yeah. Well, it's Canada. We don't usually
They have those meetings someplace, so...
Yeah. With that, yeah, there's a lot of security around and all that kind of thing. And who knows what'll come out of the G7. They feed them, house them, do all this stuff at taxpayers' expense and everybody else's. And what do they come out with? Well, we have a list of things we want to achieve, and you never hear about that again. Yeah, so who knows? It'll be spun as, this was very successful. Mark Carney's going to come out like any prime minister before him. And I'm not saying anything against Mark Carney, because I kind of like him so far. We'll see how long that lasts. But, he's got to come out and say something positive about the outcome of what they did at the G7, besides, sit around, smoke cigars, drink liquor, and watch strip shows. Because I think that's what they really do. Yeah. There's other things we can do too. Our money. Money makes the world go round. We know that. So we can be more selective about our spending. Now, we've already seen that with here in Canada, where, the focus has been on buying Canadian, not supporting American businesses, and it has worked. It has had an effect. But how long will we be able to keep that up? Yeah, we're all gung-ho right now. Will be in a year's time, will we still be gung-ho about that? I suspect not. I suspect we'll fall back into our old ways again with it, unless something changes, either good or bad with that. So there's lots of things we can do. There's something else we can do too, and it involves children. Teaching them. Teaching children, and I'm saying it starts at home with parents. Too many parents are neglecting teaching their children proper human values, what's right and what's wrong. Teaching children to be honest, to have integrity, to have good manners. They're not doing it. They leave that job up to the schools. Well, the schools can't keep up with that kind of job. If it's not reinforced at home, then the school is just talking to a wall when they try to do that. But teachers, the school system gets blamed for this all the time. Schools are not responsible for bringing up people's children. But there's an awful lot of very weak, to say the least, if not right out bad parenting going on and on. And there's excuses being made for this. Well, I can't spend the time I need to spend with my children because we have to have two jobs, because we have to pay for two cars and a 4,000 square foot house, and we have to eat out all the time, and we have to buy all the latest things, and we have to go to all the latest concerts and the movies and the whole bit. No, you don't. No, you don't. What's your priorities? Get them straight. Kids, you had them. They're your responsibility. Look after them. Bring them up properly. Don't leave it for somebody else to do. So, if we start with the younger generation and they get a good grounding, maybe we won't produce another Trump or another, what's his name in Israel, or another Putin or something like that, because, they were children at one time. You ever think about that? They were children. They had parents. What happened? What happened? They were influenced by something that made them this way. Children are not born evil. They're blank slates. They learn evil. So, really like to meet their parents. Well, they're probably dead. That. I guess really the bottom line is, if you think about the history, even modern history in our own lifetime, we've weathered worse, and we have survived. Let's see, 2 world wars, several other wars, terrorism attacks, bad economy, recessions, depression. Yeah, but people seem to have a very short memory. And we got through those things. So can we get through this? Well, we should at least hope for it. So you know what they say? It's darkest before the dawn, or to quote a very famous philosopher, the sun will come out tomorrow. You can bet your bottom dollar that the sun will come out tomorrow. Tomorrow. You're always a day away.
Yeah.
That great philosopher, Annie. Yeah.
And it's when parents forget quality time they spend with their kids is important. I see so many parents out with their kids and their parents are busy scrolling through their cell phones.
Yeah. And parents consider quality time taking the kids out to McDonald's and getting the Happy Meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not quality time.
Yeah, and they're busy with their cell phones, and they're busy with and their kids are busy with their cell phones.
Yeah. Artist says she did a peaceful demonstration in San Diego. It was great to see over 60,000 protesters standing up. Yeah. And Kim's here. Hi, Kim. Yeah. You see? And I've been part of some protests before, too. Not on the scale of these kind of protests as well. But you know what it does for you when you go out in a protest, in a peaceful protest? It makes you feel empowered, like you can do something positive, that your voice can be heard, especially when it's joined with a bunch of other people of the same mindset. So, never underestimate the power of the people. We have it. The governments do not want us to know that. They do not want us to feel like we have any power. That's how dictators stay in power. If they take away our power or make us feel that we're powerless, then all that power goes to them. Just looking at this. Yeah. So, and I think parents need to instill some of that into their children, that you can reasonably not go out with a gun and shoot up everybody. That's bad. That's bad parenting. Cynthia says, I listen to music, watch you, and the guy who sews. I guess that's your release. Well, it's good to know. So anyways, I thought that's just stuff we need to put into focus. At least I did, because lately I've been feeling a little depressed about the state of the world. I feel very much the way we felt when I was in high school, when we lived under the shadow of the Cold War, and that they're going to blow us off the face of the planet tomorrow. Not saying they won't, but that was the early 70s. We've gotten this far now, And now I'm going to be in my early 70s very soon. So there you are. Okay. So anyways, I don't know if you found that of any interest or whatnot, but something I just want to get off my chest. And it saves Walter having to listen to me talk about it all the time. I get it out of my.
Yeah. So you got
what?
You were all able to listen to him drone on.
And once again, I want to thank Walter, my life partner, my soulmate, for his continuing support of me. It's just so fulfilling. It just warms my heart. And I have only one word for Walter. Asshole. So
Idiot.
Go away. So on that note, I think we will go away. So thanks for joining us today for my rants and whatever. And I don't know, we'll talk about something next week. Hey, if you've got some topics you want us to explore on Stephen and Walter Live, by all means, shove them out to us. We do that on So Chatty. You okay? And I don't want this. I thought this was a sewing channel. I don't want to hear all this other stuff about politics and Trump and everything. Well, then go somewhere else. That's what I say to you. Too bad. Sucks to be you. Bye-bye. Okay. So anyways, I hope you all have a good week. Sewing with me on Wednesdays. Sewing pop-up sew day next Saturday, June the 21st. Link will be in the show notes next week for everything. Email will go out for those of you on the mailing list on Monday. So, yeah. So, have a good week. And we'll see everybody again later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.